Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gershwan, and today we're going to be talking about Space Marine chapters as we get into the Fire Angels. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K lore videos every single day. If you have any suggestions, please comment down below. And if you enjoy our content, thank our patrons on Patreon. It is because of them that we can do this. Link in the description if you guys want to support us. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts on the Fire Angels chapter. The Fire Angels is a loyalist Space Marine chapter whose origins lie in the late 40th millennium when they were created during the 25th founding by the orders of the High Lords of Terra. At their founding, the Fire Angels were granted fiefdom over the strategically important hive world of Loran Alpha, located in the western half of the Segmentum Solar. These Astartes do not specifically name their ancestral chapter, but their gene seed was sourced from the Ultramarine stock, while their initial command and training structures were composed of honored warriors drawn from several Ultramarine successor chapters. Their initiates were drawn from a mixture of Loran Alpha's military caste, who served in the Planetary Defense Force, and the violent kill gangs of the world's Underhive. Initiates are chosen through a thrice-annual process of trial by combat, fear, and endurance, known as the Test of Fire. The chapter's Master of Recruits conducts these series of bloody tournaments, and they are carried out under the supervision of the Fire Angels chaplain. Despite a history that spans less than 2,000 standard years, the Fire Angels have established themselves as a rising star amongst the most recently founded chapter of the Adeptus Astartes. Honorable to their allies and implicable to their foes, this chapter's valiant record may eclipse those chapters with more ancient heritage. The Fire Angels also worship the Emperor of Mankind as a god, practicing the Imperial cult, which have won them political support within the Ecclesiarchy and allies amongst the Cardinals Solar. As a result, the Fire Angels have fought successfully alongside the Sisters of Battle and on numerous wars of faith since their inception. Their aid is oftentimes actively sought out by the Synod of the Adeptus Ministorum, as well as the Ordo Hereticus of the Inquisition. Their brethren chapters view their close relationship with the Imperial Church as potentially compromising to the historical independence of the Space Marines, who have never deified the Emperor or seen the Primarchs as saints. There have been several attempts to hide the High Lords of Terra's involvement in the chapter's creation, but none can deny the favoritism showed by other Adepta towards the Fire Angels chapter. It is uncertain if the chapter is honor-bound in some way towards the service of these Imperial organizations, or if the special treatment is a way for them to bribe the chapter. Various Battle Brothers of the Fire Angels have received numerous citations and honors from the Lords of the Ministorum, something that very few other chapters would accept or even acknowledge. The chapter's warriors are often seen bearing various icons of the Imperial Creed upon their armor, as they fight the enemies of the Emperor. Stranger still is that despite being successor chapters drawn from the gene seed of the Ultramarines Legion, they do not consider their Primarch Guilliman to be anything more than an exceptional warrior. To this chapter, only the Emperor of Mankind and his saints are divine, and to proclaim or venerate otherwise is considered to be heresy. The Fire Angels choose to show their spiritual purity by wearing white power armor trimmed with red. Their chapter badge is a red cross lead, which is adorned on both shoulder blades, centered on a field of silver. Shaped by their earliest trials in combat, the Fire Angels have developed a preference for mobile mechanized deployment over the use of drop-out assaults or infiltrations when practical. This tactic is fed by the ability of the ancient manufactorums of their homeworld to turn out the venerable armored vehicle pattern chassis in the needed variant hulls. As a result, the Fire Angels' armory contains a large number of Predators, Whirlwinds, and Vindicare siege tanks than most established chapters. Compared to other Astartes, discipline and their holy duty to the divine Emperor of Mankind are higher virtues for the Fire Angels than the personal pursuit of glory. The chapter relies on proven strategic doctrines from which they seldom deviate, except in unusual circumstances. For example, they tend to regularly arm their tactical squads with heavy bolters for fire support and melta-weapons for close-range anti-armor capabilities, while flamers see extensive use by their assault formations as a preferred anti-personnel weapon. One of the Fire Angels' favored martial traditions is the use of the sword in numerous forms, not only as a close combat weapon, but also a symbol of rank and spiritual strength within the chapter. Each Battle Brother considers his own blade as the incarnate force for their personal honor and prayer to the Emperor of Mankind. The first notable engagement of the Fire Angels was the Fenrite Tithe War, a name that was later given to the Imperial Crusade launched against the long-burning civil war that had plagued the neighboring Kalsect, Nephthys, and Sedusin sector. In their baptism of blood as a fully active chapter, the Fire Angels committed their full strength to the 3rd Imperial Interdiction Force under the command of Lord Militant Hellstorm. The Fire Angels were deployed to the heretical world of Jopal in the later years of the conflict in the 40th millennium to break the deadlock between the Imperial Guard forces on the vital industrial planet and the massed ranks of the rebel juggernaut companies, the heretics being supplied with large quantities of battle tanks and field artillery from the planet's massive defense armories. The Fire Angels tipped the balance in the savage 3-year-long campaign, matching their swift-moving Predators and Razorbacks against the rebel-crewed Lehman Russes and Malcador tanks in open battle on the ash plains of the planet, while their tactical and stern guard squads wreaked untold havoc in close-quarter fighting in the tangles and treacherous terrains of the planet's extensive shattered zones. Through a string of victories, the Fire Angels were instrumental in turning the tide of war for the Imperials and bringing the world back to the Imperial fold that had lain in the hands of the apostate for more than 3 Terran centuries. The Fire Angels remained active throughout the latter part of the Tithe Wars and gained noteworthy victories contesting the Orc incursions in the Vork subsector, where they held out against speed-freak hordes on lambast ends and struck deep into enemy-held territories to relieve the besieged ecclesiarchal shrine world of Lament. It was this last action fought against the nightmarishly powerful psychic cult forces of the 7 Daughters of Oblivion and their mind-slave followers, for which the chapter was awarded the high honor of the Order of the Martyr's Heart by the Holy Synod of Galthamor. The Fire Angels later participated in the battle for Grand Al Ghul against the Chaos Spacemarine warband known as the Sanctified on the cemetery worlds of the Grand Al Ghul system at the behest of the Inquisition. The Fire Angels acquiesced to the Inquisition's request and diverted from their course to intercept with the powerful Chaos warband. During this campaign against the Chaos Space Marines and their demonic minions, the Fire Angels blocked their efforts to desecrate the resting place of the honored Imperial dead and work hideous chaotic rituals in their ruins. These were fraught and brutal combats where not only the lives but the souls of the Space Marines were at stake. The Fire Angels Astartes succeeded in forcing their enemies to fight them in a series of assault and counter-assaults, with the Fire Angels maintaining disciplined order and using the cover provided by the marble forest of headstones and the maze of burial vaults to their advantage. The Sanctified responded with all foul sorceries at their command, liquefying stones with their dark magic and summoning rolling, chattering swarms of mindless demonic beasts to harrow those that would dare to oppose them. The Fire Angels chapter paid a heavy price in the short but savage combat before victory was achieved, including the martyrdom of the chapter master, Harren Stark, in the battle against the frost-rimmed greater demon of Tzeentch, known as the Lord of Change, while defending the sacred Narthex of Penitence and the self-immolation of the chief librarian, Matthias D., in order to avoid warp possession. Eventually their forces spent, the Sanctified were driven from the sacred site and routed from the system. The planned hypothesis of the Sanctified Arch-Sorcerer, Azrath Kol, to demonhood utterly was thwarted. Following the corrupted Chaos Space Marine forces' defeat, Kol, a once favored champion of Chaos, was assassinated by his own apprentice in a brutal power struggle to control the shattered remains of his decimated warband as they fled Grand Al Ghul. The chapter's last known major conflict is answering the Inquisition's call for aid when they arrived in Badab Sector with an effective force of 7 companies. The chapter's largest and most costly engagement was the battle for the world of Sagan. The Fire Angels' casualties on Sagan were such that they could no longer be deployed as frontline forces, and along with a contingent of the Sons of Medusa, were redeployed to carry out suppression campaigns in the Erimon cluster. After a series of brutal exterminations of the populations of several secessionist-held systems carried out by the savage Carcharodon chapter, the Fire Angels voiced formal grievances against the Carcharodons with the Loyalist command. Reduced in strength, but refusing to back down from their position, the Fire Angels eventually withdrew from the Badab conflict, wishing to avoid any open conflict between the 2 chapters. Nevertheless, the Fire Angels will forever be honored for their skilled armored squadrons and their zealot fury in combat. And those were 40 facts on the Fire Angels. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank our patrons on Patreon. It is because of them that we can create videos. The link is down in the description if you guys want to support us. It's just $1 a month. If not, just listening, liking, commenting, doing all that kind of stuff. The basic YouTube stuff really helps out. So thank you guys, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. This was Gersh1 with One Mind Syndicate signing out.
Oh, what is this? This is not